Hey, welcome back to the Hey Brother podcast. So great to have you here. Today is another episode with my brother Mitch. Thoughts on Jeff's interview. We talk about discipline and that being at really the heart of freedom over our schedules as men. We talk about just the contradiction heart of wanting community, but also facing isolation, or not facing isolation, but desiring separateness, like being by yourself. How do we balance the two and not journey into isolation? Isolation is actually bad. And so we talk about those things in this, taking Jeff's interview and deepening it in our conversation. But as always, this is a conversation that we want to welcome other guys into. So these are just our thoughts, my brother and I's thoughts. But please share your thoughts in the comments below. Send us an email at nick@craftformore.com. We'd love to hear from you. And with that, I'll welcome you guys into this podcast. I'll roll the intro and get the episode started. God bless. In today's world, Catholic men face countless challenges on the road to holiness. Addiction, anger, self-doubt, relationship struggles, and so much more. These battles can leave us stuck in mediocrity. But the truth is, we're made for more. The world needs good men. Welcome to the Hey Brother podcast, where we dive into these real struggles and share from our own experience as brothers and husbands and fathers. Together, we'll explore how to overcome life's challenges and become the men God created us to be. So grab a seat, brother, and remember, you're not alone. So we're recording. That's cool.
I was wondering, do you always stand up to pray?
Do I always stand up to pray?
No. Yeah, you just look like you stood up and
As soon as
we're
gonna pray.
yeah.
Yeah, not always. I think, I don't know, it's an interesting thing. I feel like I've seen people who would always have a preferred posture for
It's
prayer.
it's actually something that I got used to in college.
Yep.
And then when Brooke and I started doing like morning prayer, liturgy of the hours stuff together, she would just like stay sitting when we started. I'm like, what are you doing? You stand to pray the liturgy of the hours, but now I sit.
Like that was what you guys would do in household, like
Yeah.
for men prayer, stand.
Yeah.
Nice. That's
I got what I wished for the last time we recorded too. I got to mow the winter lawn.
oh yeah. The shovel in the snow.
Yeah, so much snow.
What was just you have a shovel? You don't have a snow blower, right?
No,
Yeah.
dude, year of our Lord 2025, snowblowers aren't worth it. It's like a $600 piece of equipment you're gonna get out one time a year, maybe.
Well, like we got probably the most snow we have in a long time, and
Yeah, right.
Like,
But yeah, like I was talking to my coworker about that. It's like once a year you get a real amount of snow, and then once every 3 years, it's like, what was it, like 8 inches here?
right? Yeah, like yeah, 8 to 10 inches of snow. I think it was
A lot of snow. But
I believe the people with the low snow blowers though, they're helping everyone. Where it was like, all right, let's go, let's take it out.
well, yeah, that's because some cost value, so they got to get their money back.
Exactly. Yeah, it's good. It's good. It's good to see people generously using their snow blowers, but I do not think I'll ever buy one, especially having 2 sons.
Yeah.
We could just
Right. Yeah, exactly. I'm like, I don't need to like I had to clear out my driveway because my uncle-in-law was coming over because he had to catch a flight the next morning.
out the Cali.
Yeah. And so like I needed to clear off the driveway so he could get dropped off.
Yeah.
And it only took like an hour to like shovel it.
Yeah.
But
Wow.
so I'm like, there's no point for a snowblower. Like it's not that hard.
Yeah, because it's like, I don't know. I bought my shovel when we first bought our first house here in Dayton,
Yeah.
and like I didn't use it the first summer or first winter.
Really?
Yeah,
That's crazy.
it just sat in my garage. I'm like, all right, well,
Yeah. I did the same thing, but I used it for like one time. It was like maybe a couple inches of snow.
Yeah.
But I was tempted to buy a cheap shovel, but I'm like, you know what? Like if this is my primary snow removal tactic, I could spend the extra $20 to get a sturdy shovel with like an ice like metal guard that you could scrape up ice with.
Yeah,
But
that's nice.
yeah,
What do you think about Mr. Jeff's interview? Jeff Bramlage.
I like Jeff.
It's hard not to like it.
Yeah. The first time I met Jeff,
Was that at Ohio State?
kind of.
Kind of. Okay.
Wasn't really meeting him. It was in the summer, and it was after my first year at Ohio State, but he was on his internship year. He talked about that gap year.
Yeah.
So I didn't like meet him at all. And it was the summer after that, and then I get a random call like from my phone. I'm like, oh, I'll just answer it one time, see what happens, and then it was Jeff. He was like, "Hey, I don't know you, but do you want to be like on a retreat leadership team?" I'm like, "Sure. Who are you?"
This man.
It's like, "Don't worry, but we'll make acquaintance eventually." But
That's awesome.
yeah,
You were a part of that retreat too?
yeah,
It's good.
yeah,
The good old Buckeye Awakenings.
yeah. That's what it was.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, Jeff, he's a, like, I don't know, he's just himself, and that's great.
Yeah,
I appreciate like that about him, like no, like a little duplicity, and I think that's probably what we said about Bobby when we were talking about his interview a little bit too. He seems consistent, but like I don't know, Jeff's a goofy.
yeah,
It's good. I love Jeff, and just his ability to be himself. But it was
Right.
anything from the
Well, I was just thinking because he talked about like the complexity of like
Yeah.
personalities and whatnot, but pretty early on. And then what do you say? He said we're defined by our contradictions, which I thought was an interesting thing I've never heard before.
yeah. Can you remind me what that was? I know it was
Yeah.
listening to the interview, but I'm blanking.
Okay. He was talking about community. Because he's like, I like long for and desire community, and it's like one of the biggest things on my heart. But it's like on the other hand, I am the biggest introvert.
Right. Yeah. That rings a bell.
Yeah.
The conversation. Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. Well, like I mean, I think it's like relatable, right? I think every
Yeah.
one of us has that desire to be in community, but then like we also have this desire to not be. Just by
Yeah.
ourselves, and it's a hard like balance to find. And it's like we're never really truly by ourselves, and I think I've talked about that a few times where
Yeah.
the preference of solitude versus isolation. But I think like this, yeah, we're defined by what
Contradictions.
contradictions. Yeah. I think that's like even gospel like, right? Like you must lose your life to gain your life.
Yeah, right.
Like there's all sorts of
Those who be first will be last.
exactly. And what does this mean? But then you like hit a moment where you're like, oh, like that makes sense. Like I must give my life to actually find it. It's like,
Oh, that's so true, isn't it?
yeah, right. Like you don't actually like marriage is like the hardest thing and the best thing at the same
Yeah.
time, right?
Yeah, I know, and even marriage and fatherhood, like that's what you feel most alive as a husband and as a father when you're giving your life to your wife and your kids.
Yeah.
And it's those ugly moments of isolation that because like when you're not doing that, that's when you can easily be selfish and
Yeah. When you're not choosing to give.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's like also like the tricky balance of like if you don't take time to actually be ready to give yourself, right? Like
Right.
and you actually give yourself. Yeah. There's like a toxic idea of like self-care out there. Like when really like we mean self-stewardship, right? Like how are we actually stewarding our lives well?
am I like taking care of myself? Am I going on a personal retreat to actually be functional to give myself to my spouse and my kids?
Yeah.
Or am I going to like the casinos to blow money, right? Like there's a big difference between
Right.
quote unquote self-care.
Well, even like, you take like a mental health day to watch YouTube for 4 hours, like that's not the point.
Yeah. Yeah, mental health day.
Yeah.
It's good that they exist. It's just like we don't know how to take care of ourselves.
Yeah, right. You got to go do something like meaningful, like I don't know, like go take a walk or something. Like take
Yeah.
like an hour long, go to a metro park and walk in nature for an hour, and it's like don't just disconnect from like life, like work problems or like home problems. Like actually, like if you're gonna do that right.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. I caught a YouTuber who was talking about that. He's like, how about we cut the crap? And he's like, instead of taking like this personal day, this like week long like self care day, we just take a week to do all the things we've been trying to avoid. Like, I don't remember, like I don't follow the guy. I just like randomly caught it on. He's like,
yeah.
we go to the doctors, we go to the dentist.
Yeah, no, for real. Dude, I always thought about that when I would like the random days I would have off in the middle of the week. I'd drive by and I would see like these cafes at like 11 o'clock on a Tuesday, like just filled. And I'm like, you know how awesome it would be just to take off like the middle of the week, go to like get a good coffee for yourself, and then like do your to-do list for like
Yeah.
half a day. Like that would be one of the best ways to take time off.
Yeah, I mean, like it's a lot better than just checking out, like you said with YouTube, right? To
Yeah.
actually like take care of the things that you need to take care of.
That way you don't have to feel like you have to zone out to,
Yeah,
you solve some of the problems that you're running from.
right. And that's it's always good to have that sense of accomplishment of like getting things done. But going back to Jeff interview for a minute, the part that really like stood out to me was like his patience in listening to the Lord's voice, right? Like,
Oh yeah.
it's just like the Lord told him to wait, and like as guys, that's like the last thing we want to hear is like wait, right?
Yeah. Wait. The crosswalk is
Yeah.
the crosswalk for Woodruff.
Wait.
Jeff brings a lot of back a lot of Ohio State memories. So
This is, yeah, I think it's like one of those things that when the Lord challenges us to wait or to be patient, that's hard. And Jeff's testimony of that was like really, really good. Like, and he didn't shy away from that. Like he was like, yeah, I didn't want to wait. Like
Yeah.
I wanted an answer. I wanted to know, like,
So I drive when I listen to these, and at that moment I might have been getting cut off because it was between him graduating and being a missionary that he took a year off in between those two. Is that right?
He took an internship year. And I believe that's when, if I'm remembering correctly, but like that's when he was discerning.
Oh, okay.
I don't think there was, I think he went straight from his 5th year at Ohio State
To Benedictine.
Benedictine as a missionary.
I see.
Yeah, folks can correct us in the comments if we're wrong.
That's right.
Jeff can correct.
Did he mention anything about the waiting? Because like if you talk about waiting as like the UPS guy.
He didn't. No.
Okay.
He's a patient man.
Yeah, I mean like because that's a different story, I guess. And if you know Jeff, you'll have to ask him about that.
Yeah.
But
Waiting for basically answer in Dayton for
over a year.
Yeah. Yeah, that's patience.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he didn't talk about that there, but he talked about like the Lord and like just the discernment of being a missionary, and he was between Damascus, which
That's right.
SPO, St. Paul's Outreach, and just praying with that, and eventually had like the Lord opened the doors and made it clear that SPO is where he's called to, like something that was more relational and long term than like the quick hitting retreats.
Yeah.
Which I think it's good. Both
That is good.
both are needed. Like,
Yeah.
I think that's like what Jeff's gifts lie in is like, yeah, these quick hitting retreats are
That's the long-term relational thing for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just thinking because my first interaction with Jeff is a little like odd. So like getting to know him better was
Odd in the sense that like was inviting you to be a part of the retreat scene.
yeah. I'm pretty sure. I don't think he was like expecting me to like answer the call either.
Yeah.
Like because like I think most people just let it go to voicemail.
Yeah.
And so like he just started fumbling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to be part of this team? Yeah,
But
that's awesome. Yeah,
I think but what you're saying, he had the patience and the Lord maximized his strengths by going the way that he did.
Mhm. Yeah, and then I loved his like vulnerability and like talking about where he wants to grow as well, like in discipline as a father and husband now in life, and like that resonated with me. Like it's like an area of like the more disciplined I can live my life, the more free like I can live my life for
Yeah.
Renee and the boys, right? Like, unless I'm like really like, and it's like, and discipline can be a scary word.
Yeah.
It's like, but it's actually like, if we lived an ordered way, we're living more free. Like,
Right.
it can feel like this constricting term of like, oh, like, at least for me, right? The can feel constricted, like we're bound, tied down to like this set of rules, but it's like, no, it's for like a greater good. It's for like living in freedom, and I struggle with it. Right?
Yeah.
I think it's also like if you become a slave to discipline, like that's a problem, right?
Yeah.
Because then you're not actually embracing the freedom that it brings. You're just enslaving yourself to like your own set of high standards.
Yeah. Part of our formation program with SPO, there was I remember a topic on that very well, that you have to be a master of your schedule.
Yeah.
And it was like you have to master your schedule so you can waste time. Like like have a schedule so you can break it. And like that's like the idea.
The principle. Yeah.
Yeah. That way, like when you get to like the scheduled out moments,
Mhm.
you know what you need to do and how like when you need to do it. That way if something comes up, you can waste the time to address that thing and like no, you're not shit out of luck,
Yeah.
if you have like a million things to do the rest of the day.
Yeah.
But that's just like schedule management, I guess. We're just one way to be disciplined.
Yeah. The Father Mike Schmitz has a video on that too. He's like, how do we be spontaneous? He's like,
Yeah.
is by being disciplined.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah, it's like, because if you don't take care of the stuff that you need to take care of, then the moment where you can be spontaneous,
You're
consumed.
busy. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I think this is like really relatable as a man, like like to live with discipline and the desire for it, but then also like as a man, it's easy to be enslaved to like standards. I think it's really easy to fall into like my worth lies in my ability to meet the standards.
Yeah.
Right? It's like no, like if you're gonna live a disciplined life, you're probably gonna fail a lot.
Yeah.
like you're not just gonna like wake up, getting your holy hour in at 5 a.m, working out after that, making your cup of coffee, kissing your wife, and like being super gentle and patient with your children. Right? Like
it happens in a day.
Exactly.
And that day is tomorrow.
If only. But even like for any guy, like I mean that's where we go to because we're husbands and fathers. But any guy who like I think it's so easy to be like discipline means perfection. Right?
Yeah.
Like tomorrow I will be the guy that I'm supposed to be because I'm disciplined.
Man, I feel like that's even probably resonates more as a single person because like
Yeah.
I don't know, you get used to being a failure when you're a husband and a father.
That being submission. It's like, yeah, I can't do this. I need
You might hold on to that feeling where you're married and with no kids, and even married with one kid, but when you're married with two kids, it's you practice failure often.
Yeah. Yeah.
Reminded of you're humbled.
Yeah, that's good. Like the Lord uses that.
Right. And then and like that's probably more of a challenge than to single guys, because you got to get, you get used to that now. That way you're ready.
Mhm.
But man, were you saying that to Jeff? You don't know your something like as like a married man, I think this is the last topic. As a married person, like you see your faults like all the time, more than what you did with a single person. And then I think you said like, well, it's not because you were strong, it's because like your weaknesses are like,
All the more evident.
yeah, you've been weak the whole time, but now you had an opportunity to demonstrate it,
Yeah.
through
Yeah. I don't know if I said that, if Jeff said that, but it's like, yeah, that's so true, right? Like,
yeah.
Like it actually, like, the opportunity comes up where that weakness becomes revealed, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. Marriage is a heck of a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He also, like I said, we both went to Ohio State, so I thought a lot about what he was saying about Ohio State, and I just want to correct you on one bit. The towers are great.
Towers are great. You like the towers?
Retroactively.
Retroactive. Okay.
Yeah.
You met Curtis in the towers.
Yeah, Curtis.
Okay. That was the guy who was.
Yep, he was my suite mate and ended up in my wedding party.
Okay, sweet.
But
Shout out Curtis.
yeah, the towers, they were far away from everything, but
Yeah.
and here's why they're great. They gave you had 12 like suite mates,
Okay.
and even the floor, there were 6 suites on the floor.
Okay, so 72 people.
Yeah, and it was like you were because you were kind of isolated on campus, you were forced to like be social with the people around you, like, and the environment just forced social interactions.
Yeah, you couldn't be alone.
Right. Whereas like the I'm pretty sure he lived in Taylor Tower, which was like two room shared a bathroom.
Okay.
And that's like that kind of situation.
You still had dorm mates?
Yeah, you would have a dorm mate, but like you could just stay in your room all day long
Yeah.
and not be forced to interact with people. But the other thing about those 2 dorms is that they're honors housing.
Okay.
And so like I don't like, let's be real here, the more honored you are, a lot of the times the social skills kind of go down. I was in engineering, so like maybe that's just my experience, but
No.
it was pretty nice because you're just in a room with 12 guys that probably wouldn't have been friends otherwise. But you just make it work. And it was pretty awesome to have like friends that, yeah, you like organically made and not like.
Yeah. I feel like that'd probably be a more natural transition into relationship than most college situations where like there's that organic friendship you get with family life, right?
Yeah.
Like, or like even, where we went to school at the K through 12 school system, right? Where you're kind of forced to be with people.
Well, yeah, you're gonna hang out with them all day long anyhow, so you might as well get along, right?
Which I think for you, like,
Yeah.
who have like hellish memories.
That's fair.
That place. But it definitely like makes sense that it feels more organic, like, because you are confined to like, you have to be seeing people, like you just can't avoid. I suppose one of your was asleep the whole time, managed to avoid things. But I just remember like visiting you at OSU one time, and I'm like, "Is that dude okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, he's fine. It's what it is."
That guy, he was impressive. He would scroll through Twitter.
Something.
Yeah. I could tell he was asleep because he was snoring
Yeah.
and like actively scrolling through Twitter. Like,
Some muscle memory right there.
yeah. But anyhow, another thing you said about Ohio State is like the SBO community of like the Brotherhood, and like Brotherhood is attractive. Like
Yeah.
that's like definitely one of the things I could say about my experience there too, is that like
Yeah.
you just see these guys living authentic brotherhood, and that's what draws you in to like want it.
Yeah. And to see it like it's possible to,
Yeah.
right? I feel like that's so easy to miss in today's world, is to see like any kind of relationship, but brotherhood in particular, like to actually see like, oh, it's possible to have
Yeah.
deep friendships with men.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
That aren't about like getting with girls all the time.
Right. Yeah. Superficiality. I've been watching way too much How I Met Your Mother. Gosh, that show is like,
Yeah.
I don't know if you've watched it or like,
I've not seen through it, but I've seen
Yeah.
clips.
I'm about ready to be done with it, because it's just like it's like Friends in the same sense.
Yeah.
It's just like sex is a topic like every other thing, and
It's the
like,
most important thing, right?
yeah. And like, but that's like, and
But
maybe
it's
that's
funny.
why we're attracted. Maybe that's why we're attracted to it, because like it's like there is a truth to that, right? Like sex is the most important thing, but they get it so wrong that it's just like
Yeah, no, dude, like one of the most true quotes from a TV show is from Mr. Robert California in his like interview, I think.
Yeah.
Everything is about sex.
yeah. You follow the Christopher West kind of school of thought there, but he's the guy who does the theology of body
Yeah.
stuff, right? Like there is, yeah. Is that what you're kind of?
No, yeah, for sure. Because like, I mean, like, if you go up to anyone and you tell them, like, if you say, "What do you think about sex?" and their answer to that, you can pinpoint their worldview, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, that's fair.
like how their fundamental understanding of the world is like related to that topic.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's all connected, right? Like at least like through like Catholicism, like that lens.
Right. Like, is it when you look at it through the lens of theology of the body, or
Yeah.
our Catholic teaching, right? It becomes so rich and meaningful, right?
Yeah.
And like, yeah, it just like does any other like take on sex, like does it injustice, and
Yeah.
it's like you don't know what you're missing, like
Yeah.
to understand.
Right, because I mean, it's probably still top level, but like it probably more identifies like what you view as like the value of the human dignity,
Mm-hmm.
and like that's really where the worldview
Right. Yeah. How
comes from.
Yeah, because like, yeah, it's really easy to objectify like a person and just use them for sexual gratification, even like
Yeah.
your wife, right? Like,
Sure.
like and just like no longer make it about this unitive act, but like this, like I'm horny right now and I want to have sex, right? like that's like what it boils down to, and it's like, and that's like maybe even like the term horny, like does sexual desire injustice, right?
Right.
Like we're built with that, and that's good.
Yeah.
If we're using it in a selfish way, right, that's bad, and that's maybe more of like the like in implicit meaning behind I'm horny, right? Like I want to use something to gratify myself sexually.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know how we start talking about sex. I guess Robert California's right.
Yeah. Everything's about sex.
Everything's about sex. Everything's about relationship, and like that's like the highest form of. It's like the closest thing we can see and experience as married men as like what the heavenly embrace is about, right? In an essential way.
And I've tied all back to like brotherhood is attractive, and like everything's about relationship, and like there's a in I think it's Acts that they say they will. There was like the early Christians. They would say they will know we are Christians because of how we love.
Right.
And like that's what we saw. That's what you see like at Ohio State with like the brotherhood community there. It's like you notice it, and like there's something different about these dudes, and I want it.
Yeah.
And like what that was is like Jesus, right? And like yeah, for even me personally, like we grew up in the church doing the things, but like seeing that like authentic brotherhood was what made me like
Want to be Catholic?
want it. Yeah. It's
You're
just
like the one sibling that didn't have a conversion at Catholic family. Well, you probably did, but like,
right, but I mean, like it was always there, but like,
yeah, but not the main one. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. But I mean, like that wasn't like it was more of like a timing in life thing because like
Yeah.
everything to do with like college, like before college, I've always said this that. And like after my freshman year of college, I've grew more in that 1 year than the 18 years before that. Because like you have the freedoms and stuff. And so like,
Yeah.
and I think that was like what Jeff was saying too. It's just like, I have the freedom and I want to like, with that freedom, I want to like choose God. Cause like I've related that to that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Back to the Hey Brother podcast. This is another episode with thoughts with my brother Mitch. And today we're talking about interview I just did with Jeff, and we're diving into pulling out the themes that he talked about in his interview of the desire for isolation, desire for relationship, right? Desire to be by ourselves, but then also to be in relationship with people. We also talk about discipline being at the heart of, living in freedom, which may sound contradictory, but we kind of tease that apart and like try to make sense of like why does it make sense that if we live our life in a disciplined way that actually gives us more freedom than what we could ever really imagine, and all sorts of other things. Anytime I sit down with my brother Mitch, the conversation can get a little crazy. So just wanted to welcome you into this episode of the Hey Brother podcast. I'm gonna roll the intro music and hope you guys enjoy.
When I got to school, I'm like, there's something to this. I want to seek it out because I was the same way, like super easy to join a Bible study and be committed.
Yeah.
And then it was like that transition that like, okay, not only do I want to like choose this as something I do, like seeing that authentic brotherhood, like that's not the faith isn't something I want to do anymore. The faith is something I want to be now.
Yeah.
And like, that's where like, I guess that conversion was.
Yeah. That makes sense. Like making it. Yeah.
Making it my identity and not just. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not something that's just important, but something that is. Yeah.
Yeah. That makes sense. Well, yeah, that's good. I think that's a good place to kind of wrap things up. Yeah. Any last this is gonna drop on Friday, so any last.
Oh shoot! Go Bucks. Here's to the Buckeyes going to the national championship game. Yeah.
They got Texas, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you this right now. Bold prediction, not really real bold prediction. Texas is not going to beat Ohio State. If Ohio State loses, it's because Ohio State beat themselves.
Yep.
They're so unstoppable right now.
Yeah,
and
they've been rolling.
If they call the plays the way they should have been doing, where the pass, yeah, gosh, throw it to Jeremiah Smith 3 times on the opening drive, and good things happen. Turns out, instead of not throwing him the ball when you're on the freaking 20-yard line after an interception.
Oh man!
All right, close this before we get mad.
Man. Well, thank you guys all for watching. Really appreciate it. If this has been something that's blessed you, encourage you to like, share, subscribe. Yeah, just one of those things that we talked about in this conversation here even is like the importance of brotherhood, and that's something we want to share with people. It's possible to have good brotherhood. And yeah, we'd be honored if you guys could share this with folks out there and help us grow the channel. If you're a man who's struggling out there with relationship, you can check out my mentorship page at craftformore.com and learn more about what I do as a mentor. So with that, we'll sign off and we'll catch you guys next time. God bless.